Hey guys, today is Tuesday, April 21st. Our lesson's going to be called Review Some More. I think we need a little more reviewing. First off, I want to say I'm super proud of a lot of you are going into Aztec and Essential Ed and really working in those programs. I really recommend it. We're doing short lessons here, short quizzes, and then that's probably really not enough. So if you can go into Aztec or Essential Ed, I think that's great. And if you need help, need a password, whatever, contact me. I will be glad to help you get that. Also, I'm very proud of the people that have gone back and they've completed assignments that they've missed in the past. I graded several people today that did assignments like from a week or two ago, and yay for you. It's never too late to learn. It's not about a grade, it's about did you learn it, and that'll help you pass that GED test. So congratulations to everybody that's going back and doing old assignments and working in Aztec and Essential Ed. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some questions that were on quizzes recently and go over them. So a lot of these questions will look familiar because they came from a quiz. And I think what happened was when we went from the set lessons to word problems, then people got lost. So like for instance, this question right here. If the hypotenuse of a triangle is 10 and one of the legs measures 8, what is the measurement of the other leg? Well, when we did Pythagorean theorem where it was drawn for you and parts were labeled, everybody was getting them right. When you get this word problem, it's like, uh-oh, some people really struggled with it. So first off, I would draw a triangle. I can't imagine doing a word problem without drawing something. So I draw a triangle. I know that the hypotenuse is always across from the right angle. Well, it tells me that the hypotenuse is 10. All right, I know that one of the legs is 8. It doesn't matter. I'll call this one 8. So this is what I don't know. I know that my formula is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I know that c is always across from the right angle. It's my hypotenuse. So I know that this is c is 10. So I'm going to put 10 squared. Now it does not matter if I call this A or this B or this B. I think I said that backwards, B or A. Long story short. Doesn't matter if I call this A or B or this A or B. I'm going to call this one A for right now. And I'm going to say, hey, I don't know B. So A goes here, 8 squared, plus B squared. Well, I know 8 squared is 64 because that's 8 times 8. I don't know B. And I know 10 squared is 10 times 10, which is 100. Now, I need to get B alone. To get B alone, I got to get rid of the 64. So I do its opposite. It's a positive 64, so I subtract 64. This goes away. All I have left on this side is B squared. And 100 minus 64 gives me 36. Now, because it's squared, I need to get the square root. And I need to say to myself, what times what gives me 36 where the numbers are exactly the same? And I get 6. So the answer to this question is 6. And by the way, once again, this was a question that was on a quiz earlier. By the way, I hope that when I'm doing these lessons that you're stopping them, you're pausing them, you're rewinding them, you're taking notes. All right, this one also was on a quiz. If one of the acute angles of a parallelogram is 50 degrees, what is the measurement of each obtuse angle? Well, I hope right now, right this moment, you thought to yourself, oh, I better do some drawing. So I'm going to draw a parallelogram. Parallelograms look like rectangles that have just been swooshed, slid over. Okay, it says that one of the acute angles, so this is my acute angle, it's less than 90, is 50 degrees. Well, what I know about a parallelogram is this angle and this acute angle are the same. So they're 50 and 50. So right now I know two angles, 50, 50. I know that all four angles have to add up to 360 degrees. So if I know these two are 50 and 50, that adds up to 100. If I know that the total is 360, I could say 360 minus 100, which gives me 260. Now that is not the answer, because the 260 has to be shared between these two angles. These two angles are equal, and together they add up to 260. So I need to take the 260 and divide by 2. And that gives me 130. So that means this is 130 and this is 130. And if I wanted to check myself, I could say 130 plus 50 plus 50 plus 130 and add them up. And they should give me 360. So a parallelogram, a rectangle, a square, a rhombus, and a trapezoid, they are all going to equal 360 degrees. All right. This was another question. Oh, and I meant to bring a dice up with me. I had one to bring up and I forgot. All right. How many even numbers are on a dice? Okay, so on a dice there is a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, and a 6. Okay, which ones are even? 2, 4, and 6. Those are even numbers. How many of them are there? 3. How many numbers were there total to start with? Well, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that means 3 of 6, or we could write it this way. But wait a minute, this can be reduced, and that's why so many of you missed this question. You got the 3 6 right, but you forgot to then go, oh, I can divide them both by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So for every 2 numbers, one of them will be even. Let's check that out. Let me get a different colored marker. So here's 2 numbers. How many are even? 1. Here's 2 numbers. How many are even? 1. Here's 2 numbers. How many are even? 1. So 1 out of 2. All right, this next one was also on the test that a lot of people missed. What is the probability of rolling a 4 on 2 different dice at the same time? So I take 2 dice and I roll them. What's the probability of me getting a 4 on this dice and a 4 on this dice? Well, let's talk about it. What's the probability of getting a 4 on a dice? Well, we talked about it up here. There are 6 numbers. So I'm going to put 6 on the bottom. How many 4s are there? 1, right? There's 6 numbers, only 1 4. So 1 and 6. Now, what's the probability of another dice having a 4? Well, it's going to be the same thing, 1 out of 6. Now, the question says, what's the probability of rolling a 4 on 2 different dice at the same time? Since it says at the same time, this is compound probability. And when it's compound probability, we multiply. When we multiply, if we can't reduce, we multiply straight across. And I think this might be the reason why some people missed it. 1 times 1 is 1, and right here I think was the problem. 6 times 6 is 36. I think some people added and added, but that's not correct. 1 times 1 is 1, 6 times 6 is 36. So this is compound probability, by the way. Okay? All right. These were missed on the probability quiz. There is a box containing 6 yellow, 3 red, 5 green, and 7 blue pencils. What is the probability of a blue is chosen at random and then replaced and then a yellow is chosen? Well, first off, I have to figure out how many pencils I have. And the way I do it is I need to add up. So I need to figure out what 6 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 is. When I add those up, I get 21. So that's how many total I have. What is the probability of getting a blue? Well, there are 7 blue. So the probability of getting a blue is 7 out of 21. Now, before I go any further, I see right away that I can reduce this. Anytime I can reduce it, I should. So 7 divided by 7 is 1. 21 divided by 7 is 3. So instead of saying 7 over 21, I'm going to say 1 over 3, or 1 out of 3. Now, so somebody pulls a blue, takes the blue out, which was 7 out of 21 chances, then puts the blue back in. That's why it's replaced. What is the chance of now getting a yellow? Well, there are 6 yellow. And how many total were there? 21. So what do I do when this happens at the same time? I multiply. So I could multiply straight across, nothing wrong with that, and then reduce at the end. Or I could say to myself, wait a minute, I see that 3 and 6 both can be divided by the same number. So if I divide this by 3, I get 1. If I divide this by 3, I get 2. And then I multiply straight across. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 21 is 21. All right, there was one more that was missed a lot in the probability quiz. Same information as far as pencils. Now, a red pencil is drawn and not replaced. On the last question, they took a pencil out and then they put it back in. This one, they're not putting it back in. What is the probability of drawing a red on the second draw? Okay, so let's talk about this. It said that we know, first off, let's add this up. Right now we have 21 pencils. Now, a red pencil is drawn. So one of the red ones is gone. Now how many reds do I have? 2. Now how many total do I have? I only now have 20. They did not replace the red one. Now look at the question. What is the probability of drawing a red on the second draw? Well, now there's only 2 red. And now there's a total of 20. Hey, this can be reduced. They both can be divided by 2, which tells me that I have a 1 in 10 chances of getting a red. Sorry, I think this is like 1:30 at night. I'm filming this, so I think I'm getting sleepy and things aren't making sense. Okay, this was missed a while back. Some of you got these right. I'm not saying that everybody missed them, but it was the ones that were most missed. All right. I know that this is a straight angle. Straight is 180 degrees. So from here to here is 180 degrees. Well, from here to here is 115. So if I take the total and subtract what I know, I get 65 degrees. So the measurement of this angle is 65 degrees. By the way, I think when you took the quiz, it said 115 over here. So it would have been the same thing, 65 degrees. And that's what a lot of you put on your quiz. And you're like, why did I miss it? Because, down here it says, what is the smallest acute angle? Well, we know right now that a triangle, all 3 of the angles add up to 180. So if this is 65 and this is 65, if I say 65 plus 65, I get 130. Well, the whole thing, this, and this equal 180. So if I say 180 minus the 130, I get 50, which means this is 50 degrees. Which one is the smallest? 50. And you guys see how tricky the GED is? Because you're like, hey, I got 65, and that's one of the multiple choices. Of course, I got it right. Got to be careful, and that is exactly how the GED would ask you that question. Now, this one was on yesterday's. Mary used about 56.5 centimeters of yarn to form a circle. Okay, so if you were sitting in my classroom right now and I said, hey, everybody, I want you to form a circle. Would you form a circle by going like this? Or would you form a circle by going like this? I'm going to guess most of you would do this. Well, what did I just do? I drew the outside. I drew the circumference. This would be surface area. This would be area. This is circumference. And that's how, oh boy, I don't know if I'm going to spell this right this late at night. I think I got it. So this is circumference. So what's the formula of circumference? So circumference has two formulas, 2 pi r or pi diameter. It wants to know what the diameter is, so I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to say circumference equals pi diameter. And I'm going to fill in what I know. Well, I'm told 56.5. That is the outside, so that goes on this side, 56.5 equals, well, I know pi is 3.14. Do I know my diameter? Nope, that's the whole problem. Now, I need to get the d alone. Right now it's multiplied, it's butt up against each other. So I need to divide both sides by 3.14. It goes away, because 3.14 divided by 3.14 is nothing, it's 1. So it goes away. Now I'm going to take 56.5 and I'm going to divide it by 3.14. I get 17.9936. Okay, here's the key word here, about. So in your answer bank, there was an 18. That would be my answer, because 17.99 is about 18. Okay, also from yesterday's, there was a question like this. The area of, oh no, this was, I'm sorry, this was not on there, but it's similar to the question we just did. The area of a square was the first thing I'm going to do. Draw a square, thinking to myself, I know all sides are equal with the square, is 100. So the area is 100. How do I get area of a square? Length times width. So area equals length times width. My 100 goes here. I know that this side is the same as this side. So I'm thinking in my brain, what times what gives me 100? Well, I am hoping that you realize 10 times 10 gives me 100. So what's the measurement of one of the sides? 10 feet. By the way, this key right here, square, lets you know it's an area question. All right, if a circle has a measurement of 78.5, ooh, square centimeters, right away I'm thinking that's an area question. What is the radius? Okay, so what is area of a circle? Well, I am really needing to go to sleep. Area of a circle is pi r squared. So if I use this formula, I'm told 78.5 is the square footage. That means that's the area. I know pi is 3.14. I don't know what radius is, so that's going to stay here. Just like on the page before, I need to get r alone. So what am I going to do? I'm going to divide this side by 3.14, which goes away. But I need to divide this side by 3.14. So I'm going to take out my calculator. I'm going to say 78.5 divided by 3.14. That gives me 25. So this is 25, and I've got r squared. But wait a minute, it didn't say what is radius squared, it just said what is radius. So I need to get the square root of 25. What times what gives me 25? 5. What if it would have asked me what's the diameter? Well, I know that the diameter is twice the radius, so I just say 5 times 5 is 10. All right, moving on. Sorry, this video is going to be longer than I thought. the key word of the day. My daughter's name is Shay, S-H-A-Y-E. All right, if a cylinder has 141.3 cubic feet and the height is 5 feet, what is the diameter? Okay, right away I'm thinking cylinder. I'm terrible at drawing, but I'm going to draw it and you should do the same. Okay, it says cubic. That's a volume question, and volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h. So I'm going to write that out. It tells me that my height is 5, but it wants to know the radius. Well, so my whole volume is 141.3. I know that pi is 3.14. Do I know r? Nope. I know that the height is 5. So I'm going to take the two things I know, 3.14 and 5, and I'm going to multiply them. So 3.14 times 5 gives me 15.7. I still don't know r. All I did was took the two I knew and multiplied it. Now I need to get r alone. So what am I going to do? I'm going to divide by 15.7. What am I going to do over here? Divide by 15.7. This goes away. That leaves me with r squared here. Then I'm going to say 141.3, and I'm going to divide by 15.7. And I get 9. So is my answer 9? No. And here's what the GED is going to do to you. They're going to give you 9 as one of the choices. Remember, it's squared. To get the radius, I need to get the square root of 9, which is 3. Okay, so real quick, I want to do a couple things from the book. This one right here, a lot of you had a problem with these questions, so I just want to go through it real quick. Which contestant jumped exactly half as far as the contestant winner? Well, the winner would be the longest, and the winner jumped 20. What is half of 20? 10. Which contestant, boy, it's late and I can't talk. What contestant jumped 10? Here's my 10. Which one jumped 10? A. So A would have been the answer for this one. This was on one of your quizzes. Katie and Elena jumped the same distance. How far did they jump? Well, there's no names over here, but what bar do I see the same? Well, this is 10, this is 15, this is 5, this is 20, this is 15. Oh, I have two 15s. So how far did the two girls jump that jumped exactly the same? 15. That's the only two sets of bars that are the same. Look at this last question. What is the range? Range is the largest minus the smallest. So we know that the largest is 20. The smallest is this guy over here, so 20 minus 5 is 15. Okay, and the last thing I want to go over with you was on your quiz yesterday. A lot of you struggled with this. Sorry, give me a minute to find it. This bedroom question. So Melanie wants to redo her bedroom and her closet. So it says, how much flooring will you need? Well, flooring doesn't just go around the edge. It goes all through here. So that would be an area question. How much flooring? So if how much flooring will Melanie need to purchase to cover her bedroom? So right now it only is interested in her bedroom. And her bedroom is 12 feet by 18 feet. I know area of a rectangle is length times width. So I need to go in my handy dandy calculator and say 12 times 18. And when I do, I get 216. So that would have been the answer to that question. Now, each square foot of flooring costs $6. So every foot costs $6. How much will it cost to do the bedroom and the closet? Well, we figured out the area of the bedroom was 216. What's the area of the closet? Well, remember, length times width. So 7 times 6. That's 42. What is my total square footage. I need to add those up. So 6 plus 2 is 8, 1 plus 4 is 5, 2. So that's my total square footage, but is that my answer? No. I need to times it by 6 because remember, each square foot is $6. So I need to come in here and say 258 times 6. When I do, I get 1,548. That's how much that would cost. But then wait, there's another question. How much would it cost if Melanie chose only to install hardwood flooring in her bedroom? So she's like, you know what, maybe I don't need it in my closet. I just want it in my bedroom. Well, then we would go back to the square footage of the bedroom, which was 216, and we would times it by 6. And when I do that, I get 1,296. So hopefully that was helpful. We're going to do more of these kind of questions today on the quiz. And please make sure you take the quiz. And if you can't get into Teams after you watch this video, send me a note. Tell me the key word. And maybe work some in Aztec. Bye, everybody. See you soon.